Kung Heru Sukim Wasang Nathankan, Tanik Vomitnan Mi Bangzing Thafadu Kung Siu, Saying Krasopvo Ubi Te Chadsen, Man Mikey Kanja, Menkushwam Kringthi Kun Mikahan Makshan, Kung Klafex the Kakak Happy Ruxmi, Faramahunk Happy, Sayung Zakmich Wikan Sheik Texby. Title: The Shadow of Light. A faint light flickered across the narrow alley. Roshni stepped cautiously, her heart thudding in her chest. The air was heavy with the smell of damp earth. Her footsteps echoed against the old brick walls. A sudden chill ran down her spine. Something moved in the corner of her eye. She turned quickly, but saw nothing. The shadows stretched unnaturally along the walls. A distant drip of water sounded like a clock counting down. Her breathing grew shallow. Each step felt heavier than the last. A cold breeze brushed her neck, sending shivers through her body. Roshni paused, listening intently. A soft whisper floated through the alley. It was neither male nor female, but something in between. Her hands trembled. The light above her flickered violently. For a brief moment, she saw a figure. It was tall, indistinct, and its eyes glowed faintly. Roshni swallowed hard, trying to control her fear. The figure stepped closer, and the ground seemed to vibrate beneath her feet. A metallic scent filled the air. Roshni felt as though the walls were closing in. Her heart pounded like a drum. The figure vanished for an instant, only to reappear right in front of her. Its face was pale, almost translucent, with an expressionless gaze. She could not move, could not scream. The light above her flickered one last time. Then darkness consumed the alley completely. Roshni sensed a presence beside her, cold and suffocating. She tried to step back, but her legs refused to obey. The whisper returned, louder this time, circling her head. She realized the light was not guiding her, but drawing her into something unseen. A piercing sensation filled her chest. Her vision blurred, and her surroundings twisted unnaturally. The figure reached out, and her skin tingled with icy fear. She blinked, and for a moment, everything disappeared. Then, a faint glow returned. Roshni was alone, or so she thought. The alley seemed empty, yet the air felt thick with anticipation. She knew that the shadow of light had marked her presence. A warning, or something far worse, lingered in the darkness. The sensation of being watched did not fade. Every step she took towards the exit felt like moving through invisible hands. The air grew warmer, almost suffocating. Roshni dared to glance back. The shadows moved as if alive, stretching toward her with silent intent. Her pulse raced. The whispering grew distant, leaving an echo in her mind. Her eyes caught the faint reflection of the figure in a broken window. It smiled, not with lips, but with something colder, something inhuman. Roshni realized the alley had changed. It was no longer just bricks and dirt. It was something alive, aware, and hungry for fear. Her feet stumbled as she ran. Every sound around her amplified. The air smelled of iron and smoke. The figure followed, its steps perfectly silent. She reached the alley entrance. The night outside seemed normal, calm, almost deceiving. Roshni stepped out, gasping for air. The alley behind her seemed empty again. Yet she knew the shadow of light was not gone. It waited, patient, lingering just beyond her sight. And the memory of its gaze would haunt her forever. Roshni could not sleep that night. Her room felt different, as if the walls themselves were watching her. Every shadow seemed exaggerated, stretching unnaturally along the corners. Even the familiar ticking of her clock sounded foreign, echoing like footsteps in an empty hall. She pulled the blanket tightly around her, but the chill would not leave her. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees. The sound was soft, almost comforting, but her mind twisted it into something sinister. Each rustle made her flinch. The memory of the glowing eyes haunted her, replaying vividly in her mind. She tried to shake it off, telling herself it was imagination, a trick of the alley's darkness. But deep inside, a voice warned her, the alley did not forget. By morning, Roshni forced herself to leave the house. The sunlight felt weak, almost struggling to reach her. She noticed how shadows clung to walls, reluctant to let go of the night. Her footsteps were cautious as she walked through the narrow streets. Every corner reminded her of the alley, of the figure. Even friendly faces seemed distorted, their smiles unnatural. She reached the market and tried to focus on ordinary things. The scent of fresh fruits, the chatter of vendors, the clink of coins exchanging hands. Yet the memory of the shadow made her uneasy. At noon, she found herself near the alley again. Something drew her, a pull she could not resist. The entrance looked empty, normal even, but Roshni felt the familiar heaviness pressing on her chest. She stepped closer. The air thickened, sticky and metallic. Her skin tingled as if touched by invisible fingers. A faint light flickered from deep within the alley. Roshni hesitated, her mind screaming to turn away. Yet her legs moved forward, almost of their own accord. The further she went, the colder the air became. The walls seemed to close in, narrowing, suffocating. A soft whisper rose around her again, circling her head. She could not make out the words, but they carried meaning, threatening and urgent. Roshni's heartbeat thundered in her ears. Suddenly, she tripped over something hidden beneath the dirt. It was an old, rusted lantern, strangely warm to touch. The flicker of its flame cast moving shadows that danced like living creatures. Her eyes widened as she realized the shadows were not random. They were forming shapes, figures writhing, stretching, reaching for her. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, almost intelligible now. It spoke of secrets buried, of things unseen but ever present. Roshni stepped back, but the lantern did not leave her grasp. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat of its own. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the flame. Darkness consumed her again. The whisper now was not around her, it was inside her. Roshni reached her doorstep, the lantern now just a faint glow in her hand. She hesitated, glancing back toward the alley one last time. The shadows were gone, yet she felt their presence lingering in the air. A soft breeze carried a whisper, barely audible, like a secret shared only with her. She stepped inside, closing the door slowly behind her. The world inside felt normal, safe, but her mind was alive with the memory of what she had seen. Roshni placed the lantern on her table. Its light flickered one final time and then steadied, calm and warm. She realized that the alley, the shadows, the figure, it had all been a test. Not to harm her, but to awaken her to something beyond ordinary perception. A sense of purpose settled in her chest. The fear that had gripped her earlier transformed into quiet determination. She knew now that light could exist even within darkness, and that she could carry it forward. The memory of the figure and its words stayed with her. You carry light. You carry memory. You will return it. Roshni smiled softly, understanding that some mysteries were meant to remain unsolved, yet their lessons were clear. She switched off the lantern and sat by the window, watching the stars. The night was calm, yet deep inside, she felt the presence of the alley, watching, patient, and silent. A part of her knew she would return one day. Not out of fear, but to honor the light that lived within the shadows. And as she closed her eyes, Roshni understood, some journeys never truly end. They only wait for the courage to continue.